All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Make sure we use our time well today. Welcome to Community Engagement, Meet Them Where They Are with Karen Sylvester and Travis Sylvester. Wanted to make sure you know that this presentation was prepared for the Great Lakes PTTC under a cooperative agreement from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA. The opinions expressed in this webinar are the views of the speakers and do not reflect the official position of the Department of Health and Human Services, or SAMHSA. Few housekeeping items to mention. First of all, if you are having any technical issues, please individually message either myself, Chris Reed, or Nicole Augustine in the chat section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be happy to assist you. If you have questions during this webinar, please put them in the Q&A section, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. We're going to have a pretty large group today, so we might miss them if you put them in the chat. So please put them in the Q&A. If captions or the live transcript would be helpful, please use your Zoom toolbar to enable this by selecting live transcript. Please do not activate an AI note taker application. If we see one in as a participant, we will be taking them out of the room. Certificates of attendance will be sent out via email to all who attended this training in full, and it can take up to 2 weeks to receive the certificates. Today's presenters are Karen Sylvester and Travis Sylvester, as I mentioned. Karen is a certified prevention specialist who is currently leading prevention efforts in Yellowstone County, Montana, as well as supervising prevention in central and northeastern Montana. She has over 30 years of experience, not only facilitating community prevention, but promoting and advocating for prevention initiatives across states. Travis Sylvester is the co-founder and director of operations for Sylvester Customization, a substance misuse prevention and mental health support solutions company. For more than a decade, he has worked with coalitions across the United States to build and implement evidence-based prevention efforts that produce real, lasting results. Karen and Travis, it's wonderful to have you here today, and I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Cool. Well, thank you for having us. Just a quick shout out to Chris and the whole Great Lakes PTTC to get started here. They've been so amazing to work with, preparing for this from way back, what feels like forever ago, a few months ago, from the NPN conference, I believe is where we first chatted all the way to here. So we're excited to be here. I need to hit share on my screen. There we go. We're hoping today's presentation is going to be light, right? Approachable. That's kind of our style. As Chris mentioned, my name is Travis Sylvester. Been working in substance use mental health prevention, going on 13 years, which is kind of surreal, to be honest. I'll let Karen introduce herself here momentarily, but she is actually my mom. This might be the first mother-son duo here. And in full transparency, I would have never thought I'd be doing this with her, let alone substance use mental health prevention to begin with. So our company, when we founded this, we started with an IT marketing background, web development, that whole piece. And it was about 6-7 years ago, we started to get a couple of clients in this vertical, if you will, and really fell in love with it. So became a certified prevention specialist myself, but our roots, our background with that IT marketing, that bit is definitely woven to everything we do and a lot of what we're going to discuss today. Karen, do you want to go?
I am excited to be here. Pretty much what Chris said, I've been doing this a long time. I started out in Wyoming and then we moved to Montana and fell right back into it. I will often say I didn't find prevention, prevention found me, and it is just truly who I am to my core. One thing that wasn't in the bio is I did stand up the 988 Lifeline in Wyoming, and so I have a wide berth of experience and knowledge, I guess, from on the mental health and the suicide prevention piece also.
Cool. Today's presentation is really focused on breaking down silos, but also understanding where our opportunities as prevention, as community coalitions, as people trying to change the world. And when you frame it from that, it makes the job feel even bigger than it actually is. But what we're hoping to accomplish today is reframe low turnout. A lot has changed, and it feels like COVID was forever ago and yesterday at the same time. Or maybe that's just to me because I had it 2 weeks ago, so it really feels relevant to me, having just went through it. But the world has changed, but not only COVID and kind of the COVID era, if you will, smartphones, communication patterns, that whole piece. So we want to talk about that first and foremost. The next piece is how do we embed prevention? How do we not make it a add-on or something you have to seek out to be involved in, but rather it's part of going to work, part of going to school, part of the community where we live, work, and play. And then how do we design for action? How do we make these things so my big thing is how do we make the right choice the easy choice? How do we design our solutions? How do we design how we're going to engage our community to make it a better place? How do we design it for action so that we can actually get the outcomes in the behavior change that we're all trying to accomplish and be able to ultimately report back? Let me hit on this line.
I think, when we look at prevention, in the olden days, before I would say before COVID, which really truly did change everything, it was really about prevention, holding an event or um, tabling at event, and we wanted people to come to us, and it worked pretty good most of the time. We believed, and I heard it a million times, if you feed them, they will come. And COVID came, and everything else changed, and that is not necessarily true anymore. Um, and so I think that really, truly, we need to realize that prevention efforts need to be they need to be embedded in the places where we already are. We're no longer going to see people come to prevention efforts. Prevention efforts are definitely going to have to be where the people are and how we can engage with them in a way, sometimes kind of sneakily. They don't even realize that what we're even presenting or what we're educating them on until after the fact. And sometimes that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, just echoing that sentiment of the world changing, but also feed them and they will come. The reality is that people don't show up doesn't mean that they don't care. And the world is busy. It's a busy place, and I think it's just getting more and more busy as we move forward. You can't frame this as you're doing something wrong. And I'll share a story, be a bit vulnerable to kick this off. I helped. This is my job. We obviously focus on this, try to be specialists in this space. And I helped an organization in my hometown, Grable, Wyoming, or Bighorn County, Wyoming. We had a mental health fair, and we scheduled it a Saturday morning. We did everything. We did the Facebook post, we did the Instagram, with the newspaper, we were on the radio, yada yada yada. We did it all. We were very fortunate. We went to a private donor. We said, "Hey, we're doing this event. Would you be willing to support us? We can't buy food. Would you buy us some lunches?" They bought us very generously 200 lunches. It was amazing. Everything was trending right. We're like, this is going to be the best event we've ever had, you know, feeling ourselves. The day of the event comes, 12 people showed up. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to eat 100 sack lunches for the next 3 weeks after an event, but I have. Um, and everybody we talked to, it was, oh, I would have loved to have been there, but it was the opening, or it was the weekend before deer hunting season opened up. And I know a lot of people here are from the Great Lakes region where hunting, that's a good 6 months of the year where you're not going to get anything through. So that was kind of an aha moment for me personally, that just because people want to be there, they care about it. If the Bears and Packers are playing, they're not showing up. If you're up against Thursday, Monday, Sunday, whatever day football, you've lost, period. Just know that that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. We have to pivot, and we have to adjust how we approach this to be approachable, to be honest.
So, as I will use a different example, but one that that was a learning experience. We've got a new school superintendent, and his way of um, hearing from the public was for every Tuesday night during the entire school year, he did a presentation. He had brought people together. He was going to talking about changes and what he wanted to hear from people. And he invited prevention, invited me to attend them all every single Tuesday night for 9 months during that first school year. We went to different schools. Often there were more people that were part of his admin team that were there than parents. Two or three parents we considered a win. We tried providing food. We tried providing babysitters. We took home a lot of pizzas on a few occasions. We tried everything. We tried shifting time. Nothing worked. Nothing. It didn't matter what we did. And as we got the feedback from parents, or as parents approached me, the comments were all the same. We really wanted to come. We really should have come. We really would like to have come. We're just too tired. We're too busy. We're burned out. We have to do dinner with our kids. Our kids had homework. The list goes on, and all of them very valid reasons. All of them noble. And I had a few say to me, Karen, hey, you've told us we need to do dinner with our kids. We need to be at home with our kids to help them with homework. We need to do these things. We can't be two places at one time, no matter how much we want to be or how much we think we need to be. It doesn't work for us anymore. And there was this stop dead in your tracks moment of we got to change what we're doing. These people are trying their hardest. We got to meet them where they are. They can't come to us anymore.
This is not an exhaustive list by any way, shape, or form, but it really illustrates to Karen's point, but also what you all experienced. That we're all very busy individuals. A lot of people in the space. I know our parents. I've got three little ones: a 10-month-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So I think I'm busy, but there's other people out there with even more going on. So the competing demands, as Karen mentioned, caregiving, work, school, a big population you have to think about. What about mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, non-traditional households? What if they're working two jobs? What if they're working three jobs? They're just scraping to get by, and we need to probably pour more into those people than anybody else. Because the reality is, and we've heard this, in preparation for this presentation, we have our gold star the PTA people, the people that have all the time and resources in the world to be there. We also got to find those people that don't have that. And how do we solve that? And sometimes it is quite literally just time. The other piece is access barriers, transportation. Fortunately, my family, we have a good working car. If we want to go down to the school and there's a presenter there, we can make that happen. What about if the brakes don't work in the car? What about if, you don't have gas in the gas tank because it's $5 a gallon right now? You just can't afford to go because it's either that or go to the grocery store. These are things that we have to think about, and we have to realize and kind of evaluate that those barriers do exist. Promotion. Where we're at does not mean that's where everybody else that we want to reach are. They're not on the newsletter. They're not going to the town council meeting. They're not listening to the superintendent updates potentially. Like, where are they? We found going to like Facebook groups, and not like the mom and dad parenting Facebook groups. Of course, those are obvious. One area that we've done a ton of opioid promotion and prevention efforts through a different project called Bad Drug Megaphone. Buy, sell, swap. The local place that they're selling used lawnmowers and camping gear and all that stuff. There's over 100,000 people on this single forum. What an amazing opportunity to go reach those people that are otherwise probably maybe in some of our other communication channels, but right there, prime for the picking. And once again, they care, but we got to get in front of them. We got to get to them in a way that makes sense for them. And then this is a huge one right here. What's in it for me? And they might not even answer or ask that question exactly like that, but what is the payoff? Like, what are they going to get out of this? When I walk away from this training, am I going to be a better parent? Am I going to have more resources? What is it? Why am I going to invest my time, talent, or treasure to this event, where I'm going to. Like they have to understand that if we want to have a shot to have their entertainment or engagement in this. So we're going to invite everybody in the chat here, all the participants. What are some challenges that you face? And the crazier, the better, to be honest. We've all experienced them. So if there's anything that we have touched on, throw it in the chat. If there's something like, I don't know, a wild crocodile shut down the city because the zoo had one get out or something, like throw that in the chat. Like we want to hear why are people, or what's the craziest excuse that you've heard why people haven't been to an event that they're like, I would have loved to, but this happened. So we'll wait, we'll let some people jump in the chat and share what they've done. Not getting the ringleader on board. Fair, we're going to talk about that soon. Competing events. The Packers, yeah. Blizzard, yeah, that's Montana for Darla for sure. Concerts. Wildfire evacuation, that's a good one. That's definitely probably pretty important to follow through. County fair, no buy-in, time constraints. They don't like people. That's actually way more common. Another one that I hear a lot, and I struggle with this because I'm an extrovert by nature. I'm all peopled out. It's the end of a long day. I could, I should, I would, but I'm tired. I'm all peopled out. My social battery is gone. How do you reach those people? Um, Major snowstorms. Yeah, so a lot of weather re related stuff, overlapping events, all things that we're gonna talk about. Those are all very valid things that I think most of us have probably experienced at some point along the line. The old model here, plan an event, you advertise, you buy 200 lunches. You pray a whole lot. You pray that your attendants show up, and then you count how many people showed up. Uh, where are they? Why aren't they showing up? Because here's the reality, and I would assume, you don't have to throw this in the chat by any stretch, but I'm sure we've all probably had an event where we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and there's gonna be a big turnout. And then it's really embarrassing because you spent good money, good time, asked your resource partners, you did the tabling fair, and there, to Karen's example, 4 people there on a good night.
Or you pay money to bring in a speaker. Oh, a great speaker, one that people have expressed interest that they'd really like to hear. And the sign up ahead of time tells me that there's going to be 100 people there, and I have a whole 10. And it's like, please sit to the front so it looks like we have some people here, please.
We need a
It's
Facebook picture.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And it's like, what did I, and then afterwards you want to cry because it's like, what did I do wrong? How did this go so the opposite direction? How do I justify the money and the time that I put into this for 10 people?
Yeah.
How did this happen? And it is a gut punch to the work to me, the work I do, because it's like I always feel like I've done something terribly wrong. And it's taken me a little bit of time to realize I have no control over some of this. It doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing. There's always almost twice as many people that sign up for something that show up. That's just the reality of where we are today.
Yeah. This is where we're going to transform kind of, and this is the Travis done complaining about the old days to what we can look forward to and kind of transform how we approach prevention in our communities, in our coalition work with the people. So we're not showing up to empty events. We're not spending a couple $1,000s on food, a speaker, event rental, and then having to report back and be like, it would have been good. It would have been cool. We wish more people would have showed up because you do that enough times and people quit buying it. How do we frame this? Instead of saying, how do we get people to come to us? How do we have that old model of, oh, if we just try to put a Facebook ad versus an Instagram versus Snapchat, that one. No, how do we reframe that to where are they already going? We already heard it. In the chat, you could probably go through that and at least half of those, flip those on their head. So why weren't they there? They were at the football game. There's too many competing events. There is all these different things going on. Go to them. Go to them. We don't always have to have them come to us. If you want a friend, be a friend. And I don't think that there's any more important space for that than when we think about how we engage our communities. If we go to where they're at, then they don't got to come to us. We're going to them, and we're going to fit into their culture because guess what? We're bought into them. They're going to understand that we get them and what the message that we're bringing is going to be aligned. Because why would we do all that time and effort and resources to go where they're at if it doesn't align?
There's also this whole thing of if you're at the event that they already want to be at, that they already are engaged with, and there's prevention, then that already right there ups you, elevates you. They think this is somebody that I can trust because they're invested in what I'm invested in. They're interested in what I'm interested in. So that gives you some credibility right there because they will engage because they know that you have this, that you're where they are. And that makes a huge difference to people.
Totally. And I'm seeing in the chat here, and thank you all for jumping in and commenting on the chat. Um, reframing, just 10 people. And that's a really important thing. And I do want to address that really quick. Yes, the 10 people that we have show up are those, Karen, at your every Thursday event, the 4 people that showed up. What an awesome opportunity for them. And reframing that in the one-on-one attention and really get into the root of their questions or issues or whatever. What an awesome way. And yes, 100% reframe that. It's not a bad thing. And we're reaching those people that really do care. But when we're talking about environmental level change, systemic level change, that's kind of where we're coming at that. But I did want to touch on that because thank you. That is an excellent comment. And reframing it, you didn't do anything wrong. It's not bad. Like it's still good info and resources getting out there. There's never a wrong time to do that. But how do we reach more and multiply that?
And a lot of times what happened is those people afterwards that were showing up were like, how do we get more people involved in this? How do we get this in front of more people? More people need to hear this. We want to help you. They definitely, it was, well, I can honestly say the ones that kept showing up are now a part of the coalition and absolutely some of our biggest advocates because I mean, the message wasn't the same week after week. It changed. And I think that they absolutely saw where we were going, what we were trying to do, but they also felt like the same thing. We've got to figure out a way to get this in front of more people.
Yeah. I think everyday spaces, where are things happening? Where can we go? Where can we be a part of them? There's so many, and all you have to do is look around. And Karen, I'll let you speak kind of from the prevention specialist kind of perspective here, but when you're sitting around trying to plan an event and you can't get it on a calendar for 3 months because there's basketball tryouts, the county fair, FFA, yada yada yada, the list goes on. And by the time everybody can, put their Google Calendar together and say like, okay, let's do it in December, 6 months out, you got a problem. But you also have an opportunity because guess what? Everybody just listed all those places that they care about, they're already at. And somebody in the chat said they're having a heck of a time even getting their executive committee members to show up to events. Fine, let's go to their event. You already have an obvious interest. You have a buy-in. They're showing up to your coalition meeting. They're on your executive committee. I sure hope that they care about what this is. Why don't we ask them where they're at? Make them the champion. It doesn't always have to be you. Maybe they're really into the 4-H, FFA, county fair scene. Awesome. How do we leverage them? How do we use them as our trusted partner to go where they're at, where they already have buy-in, community engagement, and let them be that champion? There is so many places. It doesn't just have to be that. Church, health clinics, food distribution. What an awesome opportunity to work with our food insecure population, going to them and saying like, hey, A, we really care about you. B, you still matter just because, this rough patch in life or whatever's going on, you're needing a little, a hand up here. Well, let's go there. I just saw in the chat, unemployment offices. Awesome. Like people are going to those spaces. What an awesome time to engage with them. Say, here's some additional resources. We know that food is number one, Maslow's hierarchy. Like you got to find food, you got to get food. Like that's shelter. All those things are going to be the most important things. But once you settle out, just know, opioids, they're danger. And if you ever in an accident risk, whatever, know that that matters in something, or alcohol, or how to talk to your kid. Like there is so many different opportunities that when we think about it, you could fill a notebook. It'd be so easy. And that's what I'm hoping that we can do in this chat here. What is the most non-traditional spaces you have seen that could be a prevention touch point? It could be an unemployment office. It could be the school. It could be I don't know, the local beauty pageant. It could be anything, but throw in the chat any crazy ideas that you have. Art centers, barbershop. Phil called out. A bar. We're going to talk about a bar soon. Shelters, farmers markets. Awesome, awesome, awesome ideas. Senior centers, yes. Bowling alleys, that's a good idea. Pizzeria crossing guards, that's an awesome idea. Library, so many ideas. I love that crossing guard idea, actually. That I've never even thought about that. Find those places, like that's where people are at. So we're gonna now transition kind of to breaking it down into the steps that we've taken to be successful from our perspective with Karen, but also other community partners, prevention coalitions across the country. But the first one is go to where they're at. Karen, can you share some of the examples that you've done?
So we in Montana, we are extremely diverse. We and I oversee prevention in the largest county and in the smallest county, which happens to be also the smallest county in the nation. So it's very a unique perspective across the board. But we decided that we wanted to do a program with dry bags. We knew that people in our community use dry bags across the region for either, typical water, fishing, that kind of thing, but also that our homeless shelters and our crisis center could use those and they could put materials in them, and that they would keep the patrons their stuff dry, that kind of thing. It would work great for them. Our kids love them. It was one of those perfect kind of pieces that we could use across the board, and it was something that everybody could use in some way. New moms could use them when they've got little ones, have them in their diaper bag and use them to put wet things in. There's just a million uses. And so we use those and promoted 988 and 211. And then the resources through a QR code, but they could get other resources, find out more in the area of what they needed. We also had the food pantry, put them in their boxes and distribute to the food pantry. Along with those, we did a postcard that explained what 988, 211, and 911, when you should call those, what services you could expect from all of those. And then there is a foldable business card that we also did. That was a great idea, honestly, because we know that it's a lot of information to get on, but it folded in half. And we know that when we are at events, that people a lot of times don't feel comfortable just coming up and taking all of the stuff, but they will discreetly take a business card and slide it in their pocket, put it in their wallet. We will also put those in businesses in their breakout rooms, that kind of stuff. We'll put those materials out there so that people can get them, learn from them as they need or want. We also have a program that we do totally different than the dry bags. We call it Under the Big Top. It is a huge plastic sheet, heavy duty, that we put up, and it's got holes in it. It's a game, and you can use it. We have used it so many different places. You can use it at halftime of a football game. You can use it at soccer games. You can use it if you're at any outdoor event. You can structure the questions, 2 or 3, 4 questions, to be anything you want it to be. Have it be whatever topic, whether it's underage drinking, mental health, suicide prevention, opioids, whatever it might be. People come up, you get the kids normally will start, and then they will start dragging adults, their parents, other people over to participate with them. And they will, we ask those questions in this great way. We're gathering data. We're finding out what the community knows and doesn't know, what those age gaps show us about what they know and don't know, what resources maybe that they need or don't need that we hadn't thought of, that they don't have access to. We have partnered with some places where we've been, and they've said, hey, can you add 2 survey questions because we as a school are trying to find out these two things. Could you add those survey questions for us and get us back that information? Well, heck yeah, we can do whatever it is that you really want us to do. And so we add those survey questions on. The prize is like a Halloween size candy bar that you can buy discounted by the boatloads after Halloween. And people are happy with that little prize. They don't really care what the prize is. It just becomes this way of interaction and conversation starter and people going, and you can watch it happen. People will go say, "Hey, did you know they just said over there blah blah blah?" Because when they answer the questions, if they get the question wrong, of course we tell them the right answer or we give them the percentages or whatever it is. And so then they go, you can see them go talk to other people and say, "Hey, did you know? Hey, go over there and talk to them." Or, "Hey, they have some information over there you guys might want to know about." And so it has been a door that's opened and people are learning. Like I said at the very beginning of this, people are learning without even know that they're learning. They're engaging with the prevention and they don't even really think of it at the time as, oh, we're learning about prevention. It's a game and they love
Yeah.
it.
And just to show a quick picture of this, I should have included on that. This is an example of what Under the Big Top looks like, and it is a carnival style game. So as Karen, if you look here, you'll see like there's different stats, and these are all positive community social norming stats. So they're throwing at, how many kids choose to make the good decision not to vape, boom, 91% in the last 30 days, or whatever it is in its phrase. A couple questions came in, I wanted to address really quick. As far as the funding, and Karen actually would probably be more equipped to speak to this, various funding opportunities fund different projects. I think it's the struggle of sometimes it's kind of that dangling carrot, if you will, of, hey, they can do it, but I can't because they have, local donor money or they have county commissioner or county or their state allows it versus the feds and all those questions. So I, Karen, I don't know if you can speak
We've
to that.
we've
Yeah.
been able to do a lot of these with our DFC funding. They've been excited and uh, thrilled with some of these ideas. We've also paired it with some of like the dry bags we paired with county commissioner money. Um, to be very honest, so in all transparency, we have block grant funding from the state. We have commissioner money. We have DFC and stock grant money. When we go to do a project, we never look at a single source of funding. So if you're fortunate enough and lucky enough to have other funding or other partners that will contribute, we always look at it. The more people that we can give them a piece of the pie, the more buy-in we have. So I don't ever look at, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to pay for everything out of this pot of funding. If it fits in within the parameters of other funding, we pair it all together so that we have more buy-in across the board and that we can show our funders, here's how we use some of your funding. And we partnered with all of these other funders in order to make this happen. And it's worked really, really well for us.
The other piece, just to jump in here, as far as like funding some of this stuff, we found pretty favorable outcomes as far as approval when you transform it from, hey, here's a free t-shirt or here's a free frisbee. No frisbees, please. If you're doing frisbees, that's cool. But how do you make this a messaging piece? And we're going to show another example actually with dry bags, ironically, but where we filled that and almost used that as the messenger. And you can see like this is the actual messaging. Here's the resources, these QR codes right there. So trying to use that as the vehicle. So instead of buying a giant billboard to have that information that you drive up and it's just a vinyl, we're trying to transform this and put this in the community where people are going, where they're going to use them. So,
Walking billboards is what they
yep.
are.
The other question that came in was how do we manage consent? This is something that for each one of these opportunities has to be thought about. For the Under the Big Top example, you see there's about like this is actually cropped. There's at 1.75 kids, mostly middle school boys, which is amazing because how do you get that audience to really care about prevention? What you're not seeing here is back here, there was actually a tablet. And in order to play the game, you had to go through a series of questions to determine how many balls you got to throw so then you could try to win the prize. So that's actually the data piece that Karen was talking about. So we were able to give them all this information. They had to get the questions right. Then they were corrected if they were wrong so that they learned the positive. but that's where we embedded the consent. Parents, you can see a lot kind of milling around here. They're under 18. That's where we get them to consent. Huge consideration. So when you're at these various things and when you're planning this engagement, think about those things. Those are going to be things that if you're going to have active participation, you're going to have them doing something. What do you need to do? And there's no two events that are the same or should be the same. Like you really got to kind of think about that use
So, and
case
I
by
will
use
say,
case.
when you start to do this and the kids get excited about it and they come and they're running around, get their parents to come over to give consent, you can watch the parents hovering kind of in the background, like, are you trying to indoctrinate our kids with something? They're really kind of nervous at first to kind of figure out what it is that's going on. It is different. It's novel. It's not something they've seen before, and they're worried about what we are asking their kids. And they will look over your shoulder and they will pay attention. But the bonus of that is, please do, because they're learning at the same time. They're hearing the same thing their kids are hearing, and that's a great conversation between them and their children when they leave the event that night. So, there's a lot of times then that the parents will say, "Hey, we want to do this too." So it is, at first it's kind of like, "Hey, listen, it's okay. We're not trying to do anything." But honestly, it's another door that opens because of the event.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you everybody for the questions. Coming in, keep those coming. The next piece here, strategy two, shorten the engagement window. So 90 minutes verse 3. We would all, so let me preface this. We would all love to have an hour and a half Zoom with 200 amazing prevention professionals. This is the first time I've ever been afforded this, and I've been doing this for, a decade. This is awesome, and so thank you all for being here. But the point being is that finding an opportunity like this, it's rare. Getting people to show up at a community event night, whatever, we've already talked about the pitfalls and the struggles. It's hard. Can you get 3 minutes? Can you get them to play that game? Can you open that door? Can you find an opportunity that they will give you a couple minutes? And I'm not talking the couple minutes. We've all been there where we're at a health fair, we're tabling, and you see them coming up, and it's like, don't look at them, don't look at them, don't look. Oh shoot, they pull me in. Now I got to talk to them. That isn't what we're trying to do. We are trying to find ways that they come to you. And that picture I just showed of the under the big top is a textbook example. We had 50, 75 kids lined up waiting to play. And they're like, how much does this cost? And it's like, nothing, it's free. This is your chance. Like, how do we shorten those engagement windows? Because that's going to be what we can do. It can be one question. It can be a QR scan. It can be a flip the card and a did you know? Every space, every event, every opportunity is different. But what can you do? Here's a really amazing, and I know at least half the squad that did this campaign, the Work Hard, Play Hard campaign. This is in central Wyoming, this campaign. And what happened with this campaign specifically is at a coalition meeting, they were like, where is everybody? And they're like, they're at the lake. Like the population's very small rural community. The population like quadruples, 5X's, I don't know. It's huge. Every single weekend throughout the summer months, people boating, rafting, having a good time, drinking way too much. And that's what we heard from law enforcement. They're like, we are so sick of this lake. Could we drain the thing? So we said, let's go there. Let's go there. Let's go to the lake. So what you're seeing here is a sampling of the Work Hard, Play Hard campaign. And within this, you're seeing these banners. You can see right here at the Glendale State Park. What did we do? I can't take any credit for this. The coalition leaders, Dee and Ann Petrowski, they went and they got the state park on board. And they said, hey guys, like this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to limit overconsumption, BUIs, boating under the influence, all these different things. And they said, why wouldn't we be a part of this? And we took these dry bags, once again, very water recreational, so it's very aligned there. But we worked with them so that the game wardens, the park people, as they were going out to check permits, did you pay your fee for your camp spot, all these things, they were creating a warm touch point with these people saying, hey, like, we get it. Like, you worked 70 hours on the oil rig. You want to party. But please think about the other things. Think about these, the example that you're setting, the repercussions. What's important here is that 3-minute conversation from them. We saw downstream outcomes. For instance, like we partnered, this is at an actual local convenience store. They had store year-over-year data that showed that they sold more water and groceries once this campaign started versus the beer sales. How awesome is that? How awesome is that that we were able to actually show a for-profit entity, one of our community partners, they did better in business by promoting get that big old water bottle. You want that. You need that. Or the ATV, the distributors of the quads and all that stuff, they had these up. And they were talking about how people were engaging because you'll notice in this campaign, and this is really important to know, this ain't boring. This is embracing, hey, go do the things you love. Like, how awesome is this? Kayaking, running, biking, mountain climbing, white rock, like, awesome. Go do that. And we embedded ourselves, our solution right there where they're going, and hopefully we help prevent a poor decision. We prevented a kid saying, that's what I have to do. You know, they're drinking real heavily, so I'm gonna drink too because it's here's the cooler. No, we flipped that on its head. So once again, a 3-minute conversation, not even by us, not even by the prevention, by the state park, by the game warden, by these law enforcement people that we partnered up with. We gave them an awesome tool that they were like, we hate this lake to, hey, what a nice way. I can now not have to be the bad guy checking your fees. I can give you all this great resources and still check and make sure you paid your your camp spot fees. So a question just came in. I love all these. That is a great example of outcomes from the store. Were you able to measure outcomes from law enforcement? That's a really good question. Uh, Transparently, we didn't see a huge reduction in like DUIs. And that we're really waiting on like the PNA data to see that anecdotally we did hear from numerous partners that the conversation, people engaging, parents saying, yeah, okay, we'll lock up the cooler, those pieces. The other aspect of this is we heard a lot of people say, yeah, we're going to reduce. Every community is a little different. And I know might get in trouble for this comment, but the gold standard is zero. We want people to drink zero. But there's also the reality that we have to grapple with that getting them down under binge drinking, for instance, not binge drinking is a lot better than polishing off a 30 rack. Like that's a realistic conversation. And through those partnerships, we did not have any pushback. So our law enforcement did report, our partners, nobody said like, we got yelled at for this. They were happy. They were like, this is great. Like we get to do some community policing. We get to have these engagements and, we're not the bad guys. So, no, we did not see necessarily like a direct reduction in say like DUIs. Fatalities were actually down last year. We can't take full credit, obviously, with this. We'd have to do a longer kind of term study on something like that. But all things considered, from the data that we do have, very effective driving those outcomes. And it makes sense. I mean, it really makes sense. The other cool thing, there was no table demand. There was no booth, We didn't have to give up every weekend sitting there at the park ranger stand. Like this was happening for us, with us, in conjunction to. So, cool. Rolling on here. Trust travels through people. So we've already heard some of this as far as influencers. Like, why does Kim Kardashian make a gajillion dollars every time she posts something on Instagram? It's because people trust her. Any influencer, all the stream, the kick, those guys, whether they're promoting what we want or don't want, like that's a whole nother conversation. People trust those influencers. We have to find our influencers. Who are those people in our community that can influence? But it doesn't have to be like, hey, this is a mental health advocate or that person. I'll use a great example. My dad, Joe Sylvester, love him. He's a miner, good guy. Would he ever go to a suicide prevention training QPR? Probably not. Besides, he probably wants to stay married to my mom, who's on, obviously here. So yeah, he would. But aside from that, I can't imagine my dad doing that. My dad cares a lot about people. So when he had an opportunity to put a yard sign that was all about minor lives matter, and those resources, he jumped at that. And he had multiple of these yard signs in his yard saying, like, come talk to me. Come talk to me. I care about you. Like, I'll get you a cup of coffee. Like, those are the opportunities. And he knows those people. And those people know that when you show up and talk to Joe Sylvester, like, he's gonna listen. He's gonna support you. How do we find more of those people? Not necessarily the people that are showing up to our monthly coalition meeting because their job or their interest aligns, How do we find those people that they're already there? When you have a problem, and I'm learning this because like my middle son, potty training was a nightmare. It's probably a nightmare for everybody, but it was a real nightmare for Drew. What did I do? I asked my friends that had kids, and I was like, "Did anybody else struggle this bad?" We had it worse than everybody else. I did discover that, but that's who you go to. Your friends, those other parents, the people that have been in the trenches. How do we get those people? And earlier in the comments, somebody said my executive committee members, they're too busy, can't make it. Here they are. Here they are. They're already going to basketball practice. What can we do with that executive committee member to make them available to be that evangelist for the basketball team, the basketball community? Like, what can we do? Find those trusted people, leverage those trusted people, and give them the opportunity to spread prevention and the good things, the benefits. Because it's easy to sell this stuff. I mean, honestly, you're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to be healthier. You're not going to die. Like, it's pretty easy when you peel it back. So, like, how do we leverage the people that people already trust? We don't have to go create trust if you already trust them. A couple examples here. I'll let Karen talk on the rodeo one. This is an example right here. This is a bunch of high school seniors. And what we did with this is you'll see the backside of this sign right here. It says, "Thank you for not serving alcohol to minors. You're the reason most teens don't drink." Classic, positive social norming, reaching out to people. But what we really struggled with in a lot of communities, we do this in a lot of communities now. How do we get people to care? And it's graduation season, they're the mom, dad, parent, guardian, they're the ones providing often. Like we know that. We can look at the data, like that's where they're getting it. So we were like, how do we get some turf? Like that was the comment in the meeting was literally, how do we get some turf around there? And I was like, let's get some turf. Like let's go to their yard. So what we did is you don't have to answer this obviously, but like, would you put this up in your yard if this was just given to you? Maybe we're all in prevention, so probably, I hope. But what did we say? What else could we put their picture on it? We said, congratulations, John Doe, Jane Doe, Jim Doe. We love you. We care about you. We want you to be amazing. Thank you. And then on the backside, we have our real estate now. So they put it up. I hope they love this message. I hope this is something that they really felt heavily and committed to. But you know what they do? They love their kid. So with their picture saying, congratulations, we're proud of you, they put that up. And guess what? For the next 3 months, we were in all the seniors across the entire community's yards. And they hung around. We were like, well, will they last 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Like, how long? All summer. Honestly, probably till winter got them, to be honest. So what a sweet way to hold that down. We know high traffic, those parties, the kegers, the grad parties, all those things. That's our initiation point. But boom, we get that exposure all summer long.
And you can also measure because that QR code on the back, we drive people to learn more about resources or whatever it is, and we can measure our upticks on that once we put these signs in the yard. We absolutely do.
Totally. The other thing with this is we do a warm letter to the grads, but then also to their parents, that we directly address to them and say, congratulations, be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So, um, Karen, do you want to do the
High
high
school
school readiness?
rodeo.
Yep.
This was one that kind of fell into our laps, honestly. We did a whole fair, county fair. And those of you in smaller towns, especially how big your fairs are. They're just at the touch point where everybody's at. High school rodeo kids saw that program and they reached out to their leaders and said, we need this. We have to have this. The alcohol consumption is a big issue for us, and so is the mental health. Unfortunately, Montana lost two high school rodeo youth this year to suicide, and it just drove home the point of how badly we needed a program to help destigmatize, get them resources, all of those things. So we came up with this program, and it's called Meet our Not Our Story to Tell. And we did focus groups with youth throughout the state of Montana that are involved in high school rodeo. They helped develop the messaging. They helped develop the banners that they travel with these banners now wherever they go. They're up at nationals right now in Nebraska. Some of our stuff is because they travel with it as a way to promote it. And they decided that their tagline was toughen up.
Yeah.
And they developed everything about it. and we are expanding on it into next year. But it definitely drove home the message from the kids about how important this was and their buy-in to it. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Abigail DeVos, and the reason why we came up with Tough Enough is to help students inside rodeo and outside rodeo. That rodeo is not just about competing in the arena, but it's about helping mentally challenge it.
Life is there a workout everywhere. So just like how a workout keeps your ropes in gear, they are trying to keep our contestants safe in and out of the arena by saying no to substances. The cool part about these banners is that they were made by our state officers, by the kids.
Come up with sayings that will help build kids up, and that it will encourage kids that life's too short, and even though we have a bad run, that life will go on.
That's an example. Everything you saw there, sort of like the design creative, those banners, which I don't know if anybody knows. We got to get a bigger banner, but they're putting it directly over the Bud Light ad. I was like, there we go. There we go.
And as a
Covering that up.
result of this program this year, they, on the last day of our high school rodeo finals, they made it a mental health day and they promoted mental health that day, which has never happened. It truly, it was something that just all, because it was the kids have pushed it so hard, it has just expanded in a way that we had never anticipated.
And I think just to put a bow on this, like when we started this campaign, I told the kids, I mean, I'm a good old Wyoming boy. I'm scared of horses. Like I'm scared of cows. So if it was us going to them saying like, "Hey, you got to do this," like we would have missed the mark. But they owned it. It's them to them. Amazing. They are the messenger that needs to deliver it. Um, Real quickly here, here's somebody said earlier a bar. I'm trying to be mindful of time. We do have an hour and a half. We want to do 30 minutes as kind of a workshop. We might bleed slightly into that. But somebody mentioned a bar earlier. I'm sure if you're in a community that values hunting, the Midwest area, you've probably seen like the Bush welcomes hunters and the camo and the orange and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I saw that all growing up. We thought, how do we flip that on its head? So we actually took old Winchester ads, hunting ads, flipped it on its head and created these coasters, posters, a whole social media campaign that went along with this. But this is what it looks like. This is what adult overconsumption prevention can look like, along with underage drinking. This is what it can look like. It doesn't have to be don't drink, make the good choice. This is clear eye, safe hunt. Alcohol and hunting, don't miss. Don't miss your shot. Hunt sober, hunt safe. These are real opportunities, and you can see on the backside of this, all of these graphics, while very intriguing, fun, engaging, something that bars in those venues they welcome. They were like, those are sweet. Like, we want some of those. You'll see on the back it says respect the hunt, respect yourself. And then this actually linked out to drink less, be your best from the CDC. So like that has been incredible as a way to open the door and reach that population. Because guess what? What we've heard, once again, this is kind of anecdotal, but those bartenders, they know the people that have a problem. They're the regulars. They're the people that are there, and they're like, he's back. He's gonna fall down again. These are an opportunity for those people then to have an open conversation and say, like, hey, you might have a problem. Or there's resources, or here's those tools in a way that they feel comfortable. Because if you have to just bring that up cold, good luck. Like there's no way. But when you see this and Phil's, a part of the community, a part of what I want, and then I take this survey, what an awesome opportunity, very curated opportunity to engage and support.
One of the things we probably should have said at the very beginning of this, our approach is never, we're going to tell you what to do, what you should or should not be doing. We do not ever approach anything that way. Our approach is very much about, we're going to educate you. We're going to give you the facts. We're going to give you the data as we know it. And we're going to empower you to make the best choices for you and your family. And people really seem to embrace that we're going to give them what they need to know so they can make the best choices for them. And it works.
Totally. Rolling forward here, strategy 4, relevant beats generic. You can probably see these in the examples at this point. One size does not fit all. Your message that works for one group, it might work for this other group, and maybe another group, but not everybody. So once again, when we're talking about that trusted outlet, who we're going to, think about who you're trying to reach. Who is that person? Who is that demographic that you're trying to reach? How you reach a parent is going to look a heck of a lot different than how you reach a kid. And how you reach a grandparent that somehow found themselves being the primary caregiver for their grandchild because life happened, that's going to look a heck of a lot different than the parents, and definitely different than kids because they didn't have TikTok when they were raised in the first time around. So that's all to say, like, design for where you're going and who you're implementing with. And it's so critical and it's so easy to say, but then to execute on that, it really does matter. Like, what do they need to see? Ask the community. That whole high school rodeo I mentioned, my company, Sylvester Customization, we developed that campaign, all that artwork. We could not have done that but without going to the kids. And there's one ad specifically in there where there's a cowboy falling on his head, and a kid, he's like, we have to do this. I've just lost my cousin to CTE, concussion, suicide, that whole thing. And like that came from them. Um, Ask the people that you want to influence what they care about. Is it hunting? Is it fish? Like, why do they care? This coaster, I don't want to miss the big buck. So if that means I need to sit out drinking, okay, I want to get that one. I want to hang that on my, well, like, ask the people what drives them, what motivates them, what behavior do they value, and give it to them, and package it in a way that feels very relevant. This is, we're a little behind on time, so I'm going a little bit quicker. This is a Crow Fair, the biggest powwow in the whole entire country. We've been able to support these guys. If you look very closely, these banners were once again created through a program we call Not Our Story to Tell. And that's working with youth and saying, what does that message? If you squint and look real close, those are actually the kids that develop these messages. Both of those, that's Marley right there. She was the Crow Fair princess last year. But these sayings, the dance, all that came from them, and they're all very substance use oriented, along with mental health. And you can see this is for them, by them, with them. This was their influence, and we asked them, what is your community? What is your traditional life, on the reservation? What do you want to share? And this is ultimately what they came up with. You can see if you look once again really close, our people, our culture, our future. And on the reverse side of that, it was all sorts of resources that are available for them to access to help support their people, their culture, their future.
There were several of those signs that they had designed, and a lot of people come and camp and stay at the fairgrounds there, and they all took signs and put them in front of their trailers or their teepees or whatever. It's so cool. It really was cool.
Finally, we've already kind of chatted on this, and I know we're at time here for the first block of this. So if anybody has to jump off, we really appreciate you joining us today. There is a sample box. If you look in the slides that are available, feel free. There's a lot of other examples and different materials you can get from this. And then also feel free to reach out to Karen, myself. We're happy to answer any questions, think through these things. So we'll keep rolling forward here, but just for anybody that has to drop because of time constraints, I wanted to throw that out there. So, the strategy 5 here, build into existing partnerships. We've already talked about this. It kind of stacks on top of itself, but what do you have? I think somebody earlier when they said reframe the 10 people, I think that's good perspective. We spend so much time saying like, man, we can't get to the schools. We can't get to the hospital. We can't get to the law. Like all the places we can't get to. But what do you got? Like, who do you already have? Do you have, I don't know, a coach? Do you have one thing we're thinking about doing? We're going to just try, and I don't know if this will work, so to be determined. We're going to try to go to the lunch ladies because we're really struggling to get school admin buy-in on some of the programming. So we're going to go to the lunch ladies. Lunch ladies, lunchmen. Those are individuals that we think they could really influence some change. Who do you have? Oh, and the reason I bring that up is there's one on our coalition. So what do you already have? Build on what you have and then try to backfill those other pieces. But like, don't spend all your day and time just, how are we going to do this? How are we going to go? How are we going to get those people? And just sell. No, lean into what you got, because guess what? That Venn diagram of life, I guarantee these people cross over and we'll see you in these different places. Um, find the event, find the people, set something up, be it coasters, be it, state parks passing stuff out, be it a table with an interactive activity. Make it simple, make your next step so simple, and then follow up. The follow up is so huge because, oh, go ahead. Do you have something, Karen?
No, yes, the
Oh,
follow-up is mandatory. If we talk about trusted adults and we talk about how trusted individuals, you're part of that. And so when people ask for more information or you say, I'll get this to you, you have to do it. I mean,
yeah.
because and the more people see you and the more that they know they can count on you to provide what you say you're going to provide, the more likely they are to come and be a part of what you're doing.
And I think shout out to Karen on this because I've seen her in action with some of this stuff. When people come to her and say, like, what do you have for this? A lot of times mental health resources kind of rise to the top in this space. She'll be the first to say, I don't have it today, but I'll get it to you. Let me get your contact info and doing that follow-up. That's how you build trust. That's how you build engagement. That's how you take that 3 minute, hey, we broke the ice, we had this conversation, to, hey, I'm gonna have a training. I know it's 90 minutes, but I've already provided you value once before. You've seen I'm good to my word. Will you show up? And skyrocket up there. So all this that we've presented is not necessarily to replace that 90-minute training. It's to get people into that funnel, if you will, to move them forward. Um, when
Because
we
when
think
you
about,
can say to somebody about a training and you've built that, and you can say to them, I promise this will not be 90 minutes wasted time for
yeah,
you. I promise this will bring value to you. They tend to listen then.
that's the payoff that we talked about earlier with the barriers. Um, focusing on this slide here, the engagement model, the existing space, we know the trusted messenger, great. The short interaction, amazing. The next clear step, like this is the piece to bring it all home. Is it, hey, we're going to follow up with you, or you had a question? What is it? Because a big pet peeve that I have, and the question already got asked, like, what did you change? And I think that's what funders ultimately want to know is like behavior change. Like, it's one thing to be like, well, a lot of people saw our poster and they liked it. We got a lot of likes on Facebook. So what does it all mean? You have to think about that at the beginning of planning these things as much as the end of how are you going to put that in there. We're going to talk about retargeting in a moment, but is there one tool to accomplish this? We built it's called Now Then Forever, and it's a survey tool. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, it's nothing radical. It's a really technically nice version of like a Google form or something like that where we pre-post survey. I'm sure we've all done them. We should be doing them if we're not doing them. We created a tool where you can have an engagement, you can have a training, or you can have something like this, and then you survey and say, hey, did you get any value from this? But what's really cool is we've built it so that we can then ask them that same question or different questions, I guess, to see longitudinally in 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. And we set it and we forget it and we ask because you know what? You guys all gave up an hour and a half of your time today. If we were to survey you in a month and you're like, who are Travis and Karen Sylvester? Did we accomplish it? No, we probably didn't. It only matters if it works, if it gets to the actual implementation. So like that's a tool where you can say like, hey, we had this inflection point at you know, at the bar or at the football game, wherever it might be. What changed? And ask people directly. And that's one struggle that I've always had with like suicide prevention is we have an amazing QPR. We get people to show up and then we'll get asked the question. This is why we built this tool, to be honest with you. How many lives have you saved? And I'm like, probably a lot, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you exactly. So it's like, well, why don't we just ask people, have you used this? Do you think you saved a life? Why don't we go ask the people that took the training and say, do you think from your heart that you saved somebody, or did you have a conversation that this changed? That's a way that you can show like repeat or excuse me, that behavior change piece to it. The other piece with this is keep in mind, just like our big events, it can't be one and done. If you do this one time, they see you once a year, you're probably not changing behavior. So one amazing thing, because you're like 3 minutes is a lot to get a lot through, Travis. True. Retargeting. This is the IT. I mentioned that at the beginning, like my background, IT marketing. Have you ever been on like Amazon? You go look at a pair of sneakers or Nike.com or whatever, and you're like, oh, I like those. And then you're like, you look at the bank account, you're like, I like those a little less today. And then you leave, you abandon your cart, okay? You're a marketer's worst nightmare when you do that, by the way. But you abandon your cart. And then what do? You go on your way. And then you get on Facebook, you get on MSN, you do whatever you do on the internet. And what's right there on the side? Those dang shoes. They follow you, they haunt you, And then what do? You have a moment of weakness, you get a little birthday money or something coming, you're like, I'm getting those shoes. Boom, you check out, you buy the shoes. Who won? Nike won, Amazon won. They know what they're doing. Don't reinvent the wheel. They know how to get people to change their behavior. That's what they did. They changed your behavior because you were disciplined and said, I ain't getting the shoes, the bank account don't like it. And you showed a moment of weakness, and then you got those shoes and they got richer. And yeah, we can do the same thing but better. It's called retargeting. And what this is, you have a visitor. So this is a QR code scan. This is somebody getting on your website. Okay. And this is a really important piece because you've probably heard this, the cookies. When you clear your browsing history, you clear the cookies, the cache, all those things, you get a cookie on there. Okay. And what does that do? They get to their website and they're like, oh, sounds good. They're at the county fair. Do they really care that much? Maybe, maybe not. Like, let's be honest. They leave. You don't have anything. You're not even selling shoes here. And that's it. That's it. Well, with retargeting, what you have is you have the ability to be that pair of shoes. You get to then present to them on the side of their screen for the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, well, until they clear their cookies and all that stuff. But you have that ability to show up and present to them and then tell them a story. Because guess what? At the county fair, when you had them at your booth or at the fan sign, that they scan to get to you, that might not be the time to drive behavior change and really say, like, this is the best place to say, talk to your kid. But guess what? Monday morning when they should be working and they're scrolling the internet, hey, that might be a really good time to give them some real data, some real insight, some real information. You have that ability by creating that 3-minute opportunity, getting them on your website, getting that engagement, getting that data capture where you can then go back to them. And that's how you drive long-term behavior change because you get to work smarter, not harder. And when they see you, it's not the first time they've seen you. You were that cool person that did that thing and gave them, that dry bag or whatever it might be. You are then that person that's already trusted because you've already built that trust, and now you get to deliver in a really smart, programmatic, sophisticated way. Finally here, 10 minutes over, sorry. Visibility is not the goal, movement is the goal. So once again, putting up gaudy numbers of like, hey, we showed our poster to this many people. It's cool. Let's be honest, funders kind of like it too. So like sometimes it gets rewarded. We're trying to drive behavior change. Like we're trying to change what people do, how they act. So if walking by that poster and seeing it changes what they do, and they're like, oh wow, that's really smart. I'm never going to do that again. Amazing. Keep it up. But like keep in mind, like we're not just trying to create visibility. We're trying to drive behavior change. Embed that in and do your follow-up accordingly. Because once you create visibility, what is the movement that follows it? How does their activity change? What do they do once they have that visibility? Do they come to the 90-minute training? Do they talk to their kids? Do we see a reduction in, EMS calls, as I saw in the chat? All these different things. Like, what is the movement that we see, the return on investment, to be honest, from our activity that we implemented?
So one thing I just have to jump in and say, I meant to talk about this earlier. We were at an event doing the Under the Big Top, and a bunch of kids were there doing it. It was great. It was going well. Next thing you know, they started dragging the high school coaches over to participate in the game. And one of the coaches, we were focused on mental health and suicide prevention for this event. And one of the coaches came over to me and said, hey, can I talk to you a second? That question, is that true? Give me more information about that. And so I explained it to him and told him where he could get more resources. And he said, I have a player that I'm real worried about now from this conversation. I'm scared. And I said, well, here's what I would recommend that you do, and walked him through that. And he came back to me a month later and said, I think we saved his life. I think we saved my soccer player's life. And so don't underestimate the value of 3 minutes. Don't do that, because it really can change somebody's life.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Karen. So this is our juncture here. So the first turned out to be 70 minutes, apologies. Portion of this was us talking, sharing our stuff. What we want to spend the next 20 minutes doing is hearing from you all. You guys have been awesome in the chat. Thank you so much for being engaged. We also, pro tip here, we have two awesome volunteers, Kristen, Vanessa, are going to help us out with this next section a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to be asking you guys questions. So please jump in the chat. Like any good planner, we might have planted a little bit of ability to make sure we get the conversation going and rolling here. So that's what Vanessa and Chris are going to help with as well. But we're going to work through this together to kind of think through, hey, we have an event. What should we do? So there's going to be some Padlets put up, and the Padlet, it should be pretty easy to operate. You're going to put your comments so we can kind of organize those, see the different trends, different opportunities, different things that you all are experiencing in your communities. Because I think that's what's most important is like, what is happening for you? I can sit here and be like, the prevention playbook or whatever I'm going to say. But what's happening for you, boots on the ground with your community? What are you all experiencing? So with that, we'll kick off here. So the first one here, yep, thank you so much, Chris. So that first Padlet's in the chat there. Name the audience. Who do you want to reach? If you had a magic wand and dream big here, who do you want to reach? Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it grandma, grandpa? Is it kids? Is it directly talking to kids? Is it reaching those kids that they don't want to hear from you? Like, wave your magic wand. Who do you want to reach? So please put that on the Padlet. You'll just pop this open. I'll do it along with you all. Okay, so we're already seeing some come in. Oh, so I don't know where I'd have to minimize my screen here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Throw them in there. Throw them in there. While everybody's doing that, Krista and Vanessa, would you guys mind coming off mute and just sharing some of your guys' experience? Like, who are you guys struggling to / wanting to reach in your guys' community?
Okay. Thank you, Travis, for your information that what you've shared and allowing this opportunity. So I am Krista Conradi. I work in Indiana through the Division of Mental Health and Addiction. And it's interesting that Karen brought up suicide prevention and mental health because that's very much what we promote in the state of Indiana. So really pushing out that prevention piece from ages 3 all the way to 18. The issue that I come to find when I step in and do outreach is that when I say suicide prevention, people will either lean in and say, tell me more, or they step aside and walk away because it's that stigma behind suicide, that first initial word of you're bringing this to my kid's attention. This is going to cause riffraff. I hear that a lot of pain points. So really getting that voice and advocacy to parents, but also stakeholders who are very reluctant to hear discussions and include those with mental health. So that's something that I am discovering as I move to various counties.
Cool. Vanessa, do you want to share them? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Vanessa Leaders. I am with the Jefferson County Health Department here in Jefferson, Wisconsin. And I would say, so we also have a drug-free coalition or grant here that what we really use, and of course the scope and target population is ideally youth as well as parents and caregivers, school districts. But another target population that we really hear a lot from are those in recovery. And we hear a lot about that they don't feel that they belong in the community. They don't have that sense of belonging. They don't have their support system. Obviously, these individuals do have, of course, children of themselves as well. So we do try to really take that into consideration. A lot of course, now being in the summer and having, whether it's county fairs or like local events, whatever that may be, there's often a lot of substance misuse around it. So we did try to really target those individuals in regards to curating our own like youth substance-free events.
Awesome. Seeing some amazing things that I've honestly never even seen, like this women who do not believe cancer screening applies to them. Very niche, very doable too. So I'm seeing lots with parents. Vanessa, Krista, it sounds like that's an area that we want to target there. college kids. I saw probationers. That was a different one I've never even contemplated. So thank you all. These are, once again, ask the people and you'll get the answer. Like that's a core fundamental belief that I have is like, who am I to tell you guys to believe or do anything, let alone our community? So these are awesome. Seeing lots of parents, that's common. I think that's the biggest area we were to put like that out there. The cool thing is, I will say with parents, and one thing that we found, what else are they? So they're a parent, that's a role that they live. Are they a professional? Are they a rock climber? Are they a probationer, maybe? I don't know. What is it? Like, what are those other circles of their life? Because maybe they see themselves as a parent, but they also see themselves as a fill in the blank. Because that might be the fill in the blank where you want to go. Because just saying parent night, that's not working, I'm assuming, if it's ending up on the board here. Parent night, that's not getting there. Hunter, that might get them there. Like what is that fill in the blank that we want, and we'll find that demographic appearance. Is it going to work for everybody? No, it's not. So don't think it will. But what is that fill in the blank opportunity that we have? Vanessa, your recovery. I think that's amazing. They're a parent and they're in the recovery community. That's the fill in the blank right there. Let's go there. Let's go find that. And it's going to be very unique. It's going to be very specific. The generic slide, remember. Well, what can we do there? So
I have to jump in here. Somebody's got rural communities. I serve 2 rural counties, and I will tell you that at one point I served 11 extremely rural counties, and and it depends on what you're trying to touch, but if you're trying to get them involved in mental health, I will tell you that the comment was made to me, it would be better if mental health centers were placed next to bars, because it is more acceptable to be at a bar in the afternoon than it is to be getting mental health help. And that hit me hard, and it is the truth. And there's that stigma and people don't. And so you really have to, in rural communities, figure out where they are at. Are they at the rodeo? Are they at the fair? Where are they that you can have a touch point with them and be discreet in your interaction with them? Because they are so worried about what everybody else is saying about them. And in a small town, your business is everybody's business.
okay, rolling on to the next one. We got about 10 minutes left. This has been awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
We're gonna go to the next Padlet here, which will be in the chat momentarily. What is the touch point? So share some crazy, creative, off the wall kind of ideas that you might have. And once again, that Padlet just got put up in the chat. So jump in there. And while we wait for that to fill up, Krista or Vanessa, do you guys want to share some of your guys' different ideas or thoughts that you guys have entertained, or maybe follow in today's conversation like, I could go there too?
Absolutely. I can go first. So Travis and Karen, you both have really hit on a lot of the different ideas that we brought here to our county. So we kind of talk about the recovery community and kind of building off of that is that with being in recovery, often going to these different events has some form, I mean, of course, alcohol usually is a primary substance that is there, and it may be very triggering for a lot of these folks. Regardless if it was their identified substance or not. So the events that we've curated for these parents, those in recovery, are, like I said, we go with like substance-free events. So whether that is, we've done like Dodge the Vape, we've done kickball, we've done bags tournaments, and have just offered those on the same selective dates or weekends that the festival is also occurring. So, for example, we have a big German fest that is very well known for a lot of drinking through the weekend. So we do our best to, of course, then offer that alternative event so that folks feel that they can get out and do something and be a part of something versus being like all or nothing. So I either go and get triggered, or I'm, sitting at home and don't have that connection. So that is definitely something that we've done, as well as working very closely with our school districts and looking at incorporating tailgating, like pre-tailgating, of course, substance-free at sporting events, because we know parents will gladly go to a sporting event versus a obviously parental night that we decide to put on that's educationally between mental health and substance misuse. So those are just a couple ideas that we are obviously utilizing for touch points here in our county.
Awesome. Awesome. Krista?
Yeah, so for me, what I've observed through our work with school care team is one of the opportunities that we connected with was Mental Health America, and they actually had grant funding, which is what we're all supported by. But they purchase a bus. So because people don't come to us, we take it to various locations. We fix it all up and have the kids come on, and they're able to see the mental health minutes that we provide, but working alongside different silos and regions to bring it to different places that they can see and get connected with. Other opportunities that we have found also are sporting events, but also any kind of networking event that you can get into, because once you get that ball rolling, people start inviting you to more opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's where we're starting to pick up more of the opportunities and touch points to step into schools.
Sweet, sweet. I love that. I love the bus. Some amazing ideas. Take a look at the Padlet. We are short on time, so that's why I'm going quick. Oh, I did see noodling. That was a first. That is so Great Lakes region. Yeah, we're there. Love that. So, going to the next one here, the best fit opportunity. You'll see that Padlet go up there. Is it the right fit? So, based on what you've kind of put on those first two, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna frame this? I'll share these two. These are actually both fan signs, but this is a sporting event fan sign. So on the front says "Let's go Rams," and then on the back has a half dozen different facts on mental health, 988, and we actually turned that into a halftime event. I've heard a lot about county fairs. Here's one that we did with the county fair. Our Grow Strong, Live Well with 4-H FFA. And then on the back, we have a bunch of different facts. Once again, taught county fair. We passed these out. Everybody engaged in doing some of that. It was a part of a bigger strategy. What are some different opportunities that you can think of that are non-traditional or different to reach people kind of where they're at, where they're going in a way that feels organic and for them?
And one touch point on that one thing about the fan signs. When we first started to approach the schools about it, they were very much about, oh, all you're going to do is create more garbage for our janitors to have to clean up. People will take them and they'll just leave them behind. It's going to be a disaster. And I'm like, can we just try it, see what happens? And they reported hardly any of them were in the garbage. People all took them with them, and kept them. And so they were a great size so that people could, still put them on their desk or hang them up at home to use that QR code to get more information if they wanted it. So I love
Cool.
proving people wrong sometimes when they have the negative ideas about how something's going to work and it turns out great. It usually makes me pretty happy.
Krista, Vanessa, do either of you have just a couple? We're super short on time, so.
Are you asking for ideas to
Yeah,
bring up?
just anything. Yeah, spitball here as the Padlet fills up here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, for example, a lot of our stuff is it just brings people to the table with discussion with mental health, but really any opportunity to bring in even just something like we have like a little water bottle carrier that we have there. Like people need to be refreshed. Like, well, what is this? What's school care team? So even just making people curious with whatever tool that you have. So like I like that you brought up the fan because that's something I've never considered. So anything that sparks their interest or is like the new novelty that'll bring them to your area.
Absolutely. And then I will just kind of share real quick for ours. So going off of, like I said, we do the substance-free events on the same weekends. And then we also do like a resource fair where we bring community partners that can be there to, of course, table. And then we do like an announcement at the beginning or kind of in the middle of doing, whether it's an Narcan presentation or we do hidden in plain sight presentations. But also another initiative that we've also done is partner. Of course, Wisconsin, knowing is the very, we like our alcohol here. So we do partner with a lot of our bars in regards to having coasters with 988 materials and then substance misuse materials on them, or having Narcan available in the bathrooms, whatever that may be. So those are just a few additional ideas that we obviously have utilized here, and they've been pretty successful, which has been wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm seeing some amazing ones on the chat, and Padlet here, fishing day and quinceañeras. I think that quinceañeras, I've never heard that. That's an amazing way for your Hispanic community is, a gap. Awesome. And fishing day, we actually just did something where we got flashlights and we did that with Illuminate, brighter futures. So I'm gonna be super brief here. Build the plan. We've already talked about this. Like, get your plan, get your partners, think it through. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be complicated. Like, although kids, keep it simple, stupid. Like that's got to be the approach here. The more external pieces you bring when you're going offsite or to somebody else's event, the harder it gets to coordinate. Like, keep it straightforward. It doesn't have to be something outlandish. It doesn't have to be something crazy. Like, people will show up if you do it right. Once again, measure the movement. How are we going to see the outcome? We've already kind of talked about this. So once again, measure behavior change. Don't just measure, oh, they saw it, we hope it works, we're going to pray, because that kind of takes us back to our initial, set an event and just hope people show up. That's not what we want. We want to transform how we view this, how we do this. How are we driving that behavior change? How do we know that what we did worked? Did we drive outcomes? Did we see less arrests? Did we see less kids, reporting that they had these issues? Use the YRBS, use the PNA, use your data tools, but is there some ways that you can color it along the way to get feedback on your specific kind of implementation? 3 takeaways, wrap this whole thing up. Low attendance doesn't mean low interest. Once again, people are busy. It's hard. Prevention is stronger when embedded. If you're at the noodling thing, those people are going to be like, all right, they're here for me. Like, they get me. Like, I'm a noodler and a parent, so I'm going to listen, because this is for noodling parents, apparently. Behavior change requires trust plus repetition. You will not accomplish this in one go. It's just like anything in life. If you want somebody to change their belief, you want to change somebody's view, what do? You stay with it. You keep going. You keep going where they're at. The more times they see you, the more that they know that you care, your organization cares, what you're doing and promoting is for them, and it builds that trust and makes them want to believe you and ultimately what you're kind of promoting. So final thing, and I'll kick it over to Chris here. If anybody would like to see, we have some pretty cool sample boxes that our company did, actually for CADCA a couple years ago. If anybody would like to see just some of these, fan signs, there's a fun little Neato stress toy in here too. You can just request that QR code or go to our website, silvestriacustomization.com/sample, and you'll get a box with just all sorts of different cool things, sticker sheets, magazines, like different things that you can take, share with your coalition. One caveat I will say, every box is different. It's kind of like a snowflake. It's from other real projects that we've done. So we just take the overflow, we throw it in the box, and then you can share it with your community, get ideas. You can always reach out. We'd love to support you all in the work that you do. And thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thank you. You guys have been great.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Travis and Karen, for an invaluable and insightful way of figuring out how do we still reach people in this day and age. So thank you so much for taking the time to put together this presentation and delivering it. Really appreciate it. We will also include that website address for the sample in our follow-up email. So if you missed that, we will be sure to get that to you in the follow-up email. Wanted to make sure you all know about some upcoming events you are welcome to participate in. First of all, on July 21st, we have Strengthening Your Foundation, Collaborating Across Systems for Sustainable Prevention. That's focused on intermediate and advanced preventionists. So if you fall in that category, we'd love to have you join us. What works and what doesn't? Selecting effective substance misuse prevention strategies. That's going to happen on July 29th, and that from 1 to 3 Central. And that's going to be a national PTTC network webinar. And Nicole, Augustine, and I are very fortunate to be the facilitators for that. If you are a substance misuse prevention specialist looking for an ethics and prevention training, this is an online moderated asynchronous course from August 3rd to 14th. If you are looking to incorporate continuous quality improvement into your substance misuse prevention efforts, we have what we call a Change Leader Academy happening in September. September 15th, if you work with older adults or want to be working with older adults, we have a substance misuse prevention needs in older adults webinar. On September 24th, we have a fidelity versus adaptation webinar that's going to happen. That was originally scheduled for August, but we had to move it to September. So if you signed up for it, you should have gotten an email to let you know about the change. Just point that out. Last but not least, if you are in our region, in the Great Lakes region, later this week, we are going to be opening up applications to participate in a mentoring program. So if that interests you and you're a substance misuse prevention professional in the early years of your time as a substance misuse prevention specialist, we'll be selecting 4 people per state in the Great Lakes region. So feel free to submit your applications. Another opportunity we have are some in-person events. We have in Detroit on August 20th and Columbus on August 27th. Some opportunities to participate in a one-day learning opportunity. We're going to be talking about sustainability, data and evaluation, and policy and environmental strategies. For those who live in Region 5, we do have some travel stipends. So feel free to apply, and we'd love to see you there. Last but not least, as we close out, you'll be redirected to our evaluation form. Please fill that out. It really helps us understand what worked well and what, if we did it differently, how we could improve. So we would love for you to take the time to do that. I read every single comment, so know that it does not go into a black hole and disappear somewhere. All right, and with that, one more huge thank you to Karen and Travis, as well as Vanessa and Krista. Thank you for coming on to help us work through some examples. And a huge thank you to Nicole, who was on the back end with me, Nicole Augustine. Thank you for your support in this. And then a huge thank you to you all for your active participation. It was great to have you here. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.